till shade is gone,
till water is gone,
into the shadow with teeth bared,
screaming defiance with the last breath,
to spit in Sightblinder's eye on the last day.
by my honor and the light.
My life will be a dagger for Sightblinder's heart.
Until the last day. To Shyle Ghoul itself.
This is A Dagger for Sightblinder, a podcast focused on all things Wheel of Time, with your hosts,
Sarah Lucas
and Adam Tricola. Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Dagger for Sightblinder. May you find shade this day. Sarah, how are you?
I'm good, Adam. How are you?
I'm so good.
So, so good.
We've like been hanging out for a while, and it feels so weird to be like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you for so long. How are you? But but you know, we have to maintain appearances. It's a podcast, you
right
know? Right.
We have not seen each other for so long.
Right. We don't plan anything. We just wing it. Yeah. So yeah, we could do like small talk and everything right now. I prefer not to, though. So let's move on to. No, I know. But go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to make up for my rudeness, please.
Okay. I mean, we can discuss what we're planning to cover, I guess.
Right. So what do you want to cover today? Just kidding.
Wheel of Time.
What? That was like the acronym is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So we actually do have some plans, folks. But yeah, it'll be fun. This week is something that I'm really excited for. Obviously, this is the culmination of, man, I've wanted this show to be here for so many years, and you've wanted it for like so many minutes.
Weeks. Wait, so when did you tell me? I think it's only been like a month, maybe, since you told me to start reading the book, the series. Maybe a little bit longer than that.
It's probably longer than
It's been a little bit longer than that.
Which is what she said.
like a month and a half.
Right.
Something like that.
Something. I don't know. Go find out when you. I bet you could look up when you like first downloaded the show.
I could look it up right now.
The book. You could. Do as you will, but it won't change the fact that we're going to see. I'm excited. We get we get 3 episodes of the show immediately, and it'll be in. We're recording on Tuesday, late on Tuesday. It'll be less than 48 hours from now that we can access it.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's soon. Like, that just hit me how soon that is.
well, good. I'm glad we could update your internal calendar a little bit, like recalibrate what soon is.
I feel like I just don't know what day it is anymore.
It's because you work such a weird such a weird schedule. So
we record at 3 a.m. It's fine.
That's all. Well, we only record at 1. It's okay.
Oh man.
Yeah, but anyways, we'll talk about the show, about things to expect, about how excited I am that they're releasing it at a time that I don't have to stay up till super late watching stuff. I think, well, also as far as the book is concerned, our group of intrepid adventurers have split into their disparate groups, and we could talk about that. And we have new most annoying characters to discuss, I'm sure. I don't know who it is. I haven't decided yet, but we have them.
We do. You're right. Yeah. Before we move on, though, we should shamelessly plug for everybody to please head to Podbean and follow A Dagger for Sightblinder, review, rate, do it on iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts, because it really helps the show. And most of you are doing it already, but if you all did it would be great. Please.
Yeah, guys, even if you don't intend to listen to us consistently, like having a review that says, even just like kind of generic, like, oh, this is so good, just having those reviews is going to put us ahead of other podcasts who have fewer reviews, just because of the way the algorithms for these sites work. And so like Podbean and iTunes especially really benefits from that. And then also we will also be linking the mostly new YouTube channel that is just going to have a video, like we record this via Zoom and you guys hear the audio through the podcast. But if you want to see our lovely faces, you can actually just watch it on YouTube as well. That's an option now. So we'll be uploading that at approximately the same time that we upload the podcast itself. It might be a tiny bit later, depending on what sometimes upload times just take a while or whatever. But it's hitting that sub button on YouTube is also super helpful.
Yeah. So that's that.
Okay, and if you like Galaxy of Heroes, listen to our podcasts for that too. Oh wait, that's our entire crowd already right now.
Shamelessly plugged everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, I would just get some good cross-pollination, like the Galaxy of Heroes / Wheel of Time community. It's good.
Everything's fine.
A lightsaber for Sightblinder, perhaps.
Two worlds are colliding. Okay.
It'll be good.
Do we want to talk about the show?
I mean, no.
There's not a lot. It's coming out on Thursday. I was gonna say Friday. It's Thursday. Friday.
Well, so Friday if you're in London. Right. What was it you're talking about? You kept telling me London, England today, and you're telling me something, and I was like, is there a different London? But
there is a London, Ontario.
Okay, cool trivia about Canada.
Yep.
That's good.
You're welcome. I know everyone wanted to know. Anyway.
Narrator. They didn't.
No one wants to know about London, Ontario.
Probably not even the Londoners from Ontario. They're like, we're so tired of, can we just have a different name?
Oh man. No, but what I was looking up, because I was trying to figure out what time it releases, because some platforms release on Pacific time and some release on Eastern time, and since we're not in the same time zone, it makes it difficult for us to coordinate life in general. And what I was reading though was that Amazon originals have a tendency to release at midnight GMT, which means that it can show up earlier on your Prime feed. So it could potentially be there Thursday evening.
Oh, just potentially. So it might not just be released.
From what I've seen is that it might not, but there is a very good chance that it will. And they also mentioned that it won't if it is there, it won't necessarily show up on like the main Prime page. You'll have to like go and search for the show, and then you'll be able to get the episode.
Nice.
So I'm gonna try, because I would love to watch it Thursday night instead of Friday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it is released like that, actually, you and I talked about it. I think we will actually, there's a pretty decent chance that we'll have some kind of reaction video out on like Friday morning, at least morning as defined by being in the States or Canada, I guess. But
nice eye roll.
thanks.
Yeah, so hopefully that's the case, because that will make everything easier for the both of us.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know if we could even do a reaction video if we don't have access to it that evening. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited. 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Is actually really, it's way more exciting to me in reality. Like, I was kind of dreading watching just one and just having that super, like, that desolation of just getting super into something and then I just have to wait for a week. I don't take that well, so I'm excited about
I don't take
too.
that well either. Are you gonna just watch all 3 right away then? Like as soon as you can? Or are you gonna like watch them in separate chunks? Because realistically, if you watch all 3 right away, you still gotta wait a week for the next one.
I know. Well, I mean, this makes it a lot better. So it's like once I get into the cadence of once a week, then I can be okay with it. And having those 3 right away, like, it'll be an overload, I think, for me at least. There'll be so much information, so much to process and digest and figure out. And then I only have 1 week before the next one comes out to actually do that for. And then so we'll get through that one, and then I'll be used to it by then.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I'm totally gonna binge watch. I mean, not only because I'm a big fan, but I also create content for this as well. So I don't know.
Wild.
I'm glad that yeah, we're always learning things about each other. That's you know,
yeah.
That's one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast, so we could learn random facts about each other. Like, we're fans of Wheel of Time. I don't know.
It's fine. So this entire thing should wrap, this entire season should be wrapped before Christmas.
Which is great, because then Book of Boba Fett's right after that, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Which granted is not Wheel of Time, but
no,
they're both extremely important shows to me, and it's nice that I don't know how I'm going to fit in that Hawkeye show.
It's on a different day.
Oh yeah, because I don't do anything other days.
All right. But what I wanted to mention was the show episode titles, because they're on IMDb for the first 6. The last 2 aren't there. But the first 6 have episode names.
I feel like the last 2 could really give a lot of spoilers, because
that's what I'm thinking.
Because without saying too much about the ending of book 1, like it goes in a direction that is unexpected. Like, you find yourself if you look at the map, you find yourself in an unlikely place, an unpredictable place. And excuse me, it's just an interesting, they put you in an interesting situation where I feel like it could be really spoilery if they release the episode names early on. So.
Right. Well, and like what's I find even, I mean, maybe this isn't as interesting, but even the episode like synopsis, like little blurbs, they only have that on the first 2. So which I find interesting, because we're getting 3 episodes on day 1, and they didn't put any info in for the 3rd episode.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? Isn't it interesting? I think it's a little interesting. I'm probably reading into it too much.
It's not uninteresting.
Thank you.
Just FYI.
Thank you.
I'm not disinterested.
Okay.
So, okay, good talk.
On that happy note, would you like to know what they're called?
Oh man, yeah. So, yeah. Yes, please. Okay. Yes, please. Feed me. I want to know. Gosh, that sounded awkward. Feed me. Like that plant
Uh,
in that show. What's it? The Nightmare show? No.
there's Stranger Things.
Oh, I haven't watched that. Like the new show. No, what's the one with the plant that he says, "Feed me, Seymour"?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, it was terrifying when I was a kid. Like it's like this man-eating plant, and he'd like call people up, and they'd come into like his store, and then he'd just eat them. You don't know what that is?
No, sounds terrifying.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was just like, wow, that's awful. It was
I don't handle scary
horrific.
well, so that's probably why I don't know what it is.
Okay. I don't know. I don't either. I just, that's a memory apparently. So let's talk about
Wheel of Time.
non-plant. Yeah, let's enough
Back
about
on
my
track.
childhood. Okay.
Okay. So the first episode is called Leave Taking.
Oh, that's perfect.
Perfect. Makes total sense, right?
Well, and it's also the name of chapters later in the series. Like
It is.
I almost, yeah, there's one in book 4, I believe that's what it's called as well. Like there's I don't remember the names of chapters ever, except for whatever reason I remember that. So yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So presumably leaving the 2 rivers.
Right. So then the second one is Shadows Waiting.
Okay.
Sounds like ominous,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then the third one, which is the one
That's
that doesn't.
the one you're not. It's the one you're not going to handle well.
Correct. I will be watching it through my fingers. The third one, which is the one that doesn't have any synopsis, like episode info, is called A Place of Safety.
Ooh, I bet that is going to be at least like the show's version of what we're going to be talking about in the book section.
Ooh, do you think so?
Like, well, because so we have all 3 groups who are split up, and they're all seeking a place of safety.
Good point.
Or maybe it's them getting to Baerlon.
Maybe. I feel like if they're only getting to Baerlon in episode 3, we're going to be in for a long haul. Like they're going to have, it feels like if that's the case, then I feel like the first 3 episodes will have moved too slowly to have only 5 more to theoretically wrap up all of book 1.
No, I mean, you could be right. I mean, yeah, I think that sounds accurate. I think they're gonna be changing things up a lot, because
totally.
For instance, like Rand meets Elaine like he goes to Camelin and meets Elaine, and in the book, but I think that they've kind of shown that that's not going to happen in this. Like I know that Elaine they've said that she's not in season 1, she's in season 2, and whereas she was played a fairly minor part in book 1, like in that one's part, I just think, you know, they're gonna have to change things up. So at this point, yeah, my guess is that they've split off from each other and they're trying to find safety. I don't know. Maybe you have a different take on it. But
we'll find out if you're right in less than 48 hours.
Dear Lord. I just realized how soon that is.
Shut up.
You're trying to impress me with how soon it is. You're like, just FYI, Adam. 48 hours.
Shut up. Moving on. Episode 4, The Dragon Reborn.
Oh, that's spicy.
Right.
Okay. I mean, that's the focus on the series, like,
totally.
But well, so that they've shown Logain. I wonder if he's going to be part of it.
Good point. Episode 5. This one I find real interesting. Blood Calls Blood.
So whew, that's a line
Mhm.
from book two, actually.
Yeah,
There's like uh,
because I know
that,
that line already. I've heard that line already.
yeah, it's like part of a dark prophecy, I'll say that.
Mhm.
No other spoilers from book, but they did say that they're going to have some elements from book two
Mhm.
in this. And so, I mean, blood calls blood, like that's like the refrain from a
Yeah.
dark prophecy. So that is super fascinating.
Well, and then that just leads right into episode 6 if they're bringing in book 2, the Flame of Tarvalin.
Oh man, yeah.
So, like, I think we're going to be wrapping up. So, my prediction is episode 4 is end of book 1,
I
The Dragon Reborn.
I think that's false. But
Rude.
but no, okay, so let me explain though, I guess. So I've heard them say that it's mostly book one with some book two and like a
Mhm.
tiny bit of maybe book three or something like that in it, like just tiny elements.
Mhm.
Um uh, if they can fit an entire like if they could fit the entire book one in 4 shows, it would be very surprising. My guess is that we will be venturing into some book two stuff
Mhm.
at, like, so they'll introduce some of these elements, like the Flame of Tarvalin is clearly a reference to something in book two, but my guess is that they bring those in as elements, but then they're still on book one materials. It's just like you meet up with your friends earlier in the movie because it's more expedient for the flow of the storytelling,
Mhm.
you know.
I think
That's
also, like, I think probably what a few of us might be failing to also remember is there's a lot of, like, I don't want to say flashbacks in the book, but there are a lot of events that have happened in the past that you are hearing about either secondhand, third hand, or prologues, whatever, that now also need to get worked into the show.
that's true.
So that is also going to take up some time.
Yeah, I think that's true. I We'll have such a better idea of how the flow of all of this is going to go. Like, uh, for instance, so we're going to be talking a little bit about. I think we'll get to some like some parts with white cloaks in this reading segment of this podcast, and I think that they are going to flesh out the white cloaks significantly. Like they're going to make it way more robust.
Mhm.
And I think that they're going to make the Logain part, like the Logain part, they've focused on that so much in the trailers and stuff. At the very least, there's going to be one episode that spends way more time on Logain and
Right.
interactions with those Aes Sedai that are with him and everything. I think they're going to show him way more than they show him in book one.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, like it's so impossible to really predict the storytelling, the flow of how it's all going to be.
Right. Which is fair.
Like, I'm excited to see White Cloaks more and make them a little more sinister,
Right.
but that's going to take up time, as you say. Like, there's also going to be some flashback stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be all these other parts that I personally feel like are um quicker to get through when you're reading a book versus having to visualize it either in a movie or a TV show.
Sure. Well, and so I don't mean to dismiss you and saying by saying like episode 4 is going to be the end of book one
No.
or something. I do think that there's so many important things that happen at the end of book one that if it seems like almost too extreme. Like the show will have been out for one full week by the time we see
Yeah.
episode 4. We can't be done with book one. I don't feel like.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe. I feel like mostly they're going to be introducing book one stuff, and then I think because book two kind of sets off on its own new adventure in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
that I feel like we're going to have the majority of those elements added to season 2, because I don't know, did I see right that there's going to be 8 total seasons?
That's what I've heard as well. So either way, you have to fit 14 books into 8 seasons. So they're going to be combining at some point.
Right. Well, and there's, I mean, I don't know what the fandom is thinking. I don't know. I've always been pretty atypical in terms of like, I love the show, or I love the books. All of them are just fun. Like I just love the way they're written. The characters are fun, etc. So I never minded the length of this series.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people say that toward book 6 or 7, something like that, it kind of loses its way, so to speak, and they all kind of like blur together. Like there's a lot of unnecessary storylines and stuff, and I can understand that viewpoint. I just never experienced it for myself. So
right,
my guess is that those books, like past book 5, 6, 7, something like that, are when they're just really gonna start smashing them together, compressing it a little.
They're probably going to cut out a lot of that unnecessary stuff. Like if there's storylines that might necessarily be needed. I don't know. I'm not that far into the series yet, but you could just remove them altogether or combine them, right? Like kind of how you could combine multiple characters into one, and you can combine multiple storylines into one and just condense everything.
Right. Well, I've heard that there's new casting news as well, and I don't know. I don't care as much about, like, because casting changes so much, and at the end of the day, like, I'm not suited to actually being able to say like, oh yeah, this person would make a great so and so. It's like, oh, okay, like they loosely fit the physical description I had in my mind, like.
Right.
But I think they made Padan Fane, for instance, that like they revealed who he was, and like, I mean, in the original books, at least like the first group of, like, I always envisioned them as pale white people, like
Mm-hmm.
that's, and I love that they added diversity to it. Like they added more races and stuff. Wonderful. That's great. Good direction to go. But it also defies, like, it looks like Padan Fane is a black man, I think, and that is totally fine, but way different than I had envisioned. And
right.
so like me just looking at these new casting members, I'm like, that doesn't look like Padan Fane, because in my mind that's not how it looks.
Right. But you've also like formulated how they look for the last 15, 20 years.
Right. Oh yeah. So it's just fixed in my head.
Exactly.
And whatever. So there's casting news though, and so whereas I don't care about if the cast fits, like I think that they've done a good job, and I think that as long as the acting is good, I'll just buy in, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
The characters that they've talked about being in the show are really interesting. So they say that they casted like Lord Ingtar, for instance.
Right.
So Lord Ingtar's in the show, but apparently I think he's just in season 2, but the person who was going to be Lord Ingtar, they were going to do, like you said, they were going to roll up Lord Ingtar and a couple other characters and make him into Lord someone else. And so that person is still in season 1, I think, but he's got a different name.
Yeah, I did see that. And then I did start looking at the casting news, and then I realized I was probably going to get into spoilers. So I thought that was a bad idea, and I stopped.
Okay, it wasn't just you being lazy and wanting to watch like Galaxy of Heroes content by Zareth or something instead, right?
No, I actually have him blocked.
I know that thing about he does when he says, "Whoa, we're in the game now." It's just so obnoxious.
Oh man. No, but I was watching it. But okay, so I wasn't reading about the casting news. I was watching a video about the casting news, and the person I was watching started going into like this dangerous spoilery type talk that I was like, don't want to ruin this for myself, because it will inevitably happen and I'm okay with that, but I don't want it to happen earlier than it needs to. So I just axed it right then and there.
Okay, I mean, I kind of would prefer the first narrative that I had kind of espoused, but I can totally understand.
Sorry. Yes,
I get it though. Like I do. Like on a serious note, I think that's wise. I just, when it comes to casting, gosh, people are going to be like, yeah, we're totally going to watch this or listen to this podcast again. But I just, I think that they're gonna, all the costuming and all of the stuff, like who the heck knows, like there's always instances of people saying like, oh, you know who would be perfect for this is this guy,
right?
And then they actually get this guy and you're like, oh, this is gonna be great, and then they suck, and it's like, oh my gosh, like no one can predict it. No one knows if they're going to be good. And just because they would be a good Matt, for instance, because he got recast, like just because he would make a good Matt under one producer, one director, doesn't mean he would even make a good Matt under someone else. Like it depends on the script. It depends on so many things that at the end of the day, I just want to see the final product. So.
And that's like another thing to keep in mind. Like if you have a visual kind of like ideal of what these characters look like, and then you tie that to actors, have they necessarily acted in a role similar to this? So how can you, like, I feel like there's just so much more than just what a character looks like. Obviously, like their personality needs to come through.
Well, yeah, you have to think of certain actors who want to like prove their range, and they like they're like a good action actor, and then they go in and try to do a comedy, and you're like, why are you doing this to us? Like why are you doing this to yourself? This isn't what you're good at. Some people can overlap and have that range or whatever, and I don't mean to be like, I'm not the sole arbiter of truth when it comes to acting and good acting and whatever, but you're right, that's a great point, that just because they'd be good at something else doesn't mean that they'd necessarily be good at this.
Right.
I remember in Star Wars that with Solo, when they were talking about who should be the cast as Solo, and everyone wanted this guy, what was his name, Anthony Ingruber or something like that, because he does this really cool impression of Han Solo at one point. And he kind of looks like him too, and then he actually did like audition, and he didn't even get close. Like they just like kind of brushed him aside in the first wave.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and everyone's like, they didn't give him a fair chance. And then the guy's been in a couple movies and he's not interesting. He's not like, oh my gosh, he's a good actor. It's like, oh, like, okay, so you could kind of like just sit in front of your computer and impersonate someone. But like, just because your impersonation of a couple scenes is kind of cool doesn't mean you're a good actor for the whatever madness that is going to happen in the movie.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like you can't go off of that, is my take on it, which sounds like your take on it.
Right. I just went ahead and made it my take, so you're gonna have to find a new one, please.
Cool. Maybe I can find a new take somewhere in the books, because I feel like that's all the show news.
Oh, that's it. So we need to go talk about that was an abrupt transition, but let's do it.
Unless you have more show stuff, but other than it coming out in less than 48 hours, FYI.
Wait, 48 hours? Okay. Whoa. So no, I guess I'll just say I'm excited for the show. We'll see how it goes. And my guess is that, so we're going to do like the reaction video to it.
Yes.
If that's possible. And that'll be on YouTube. You guys can, maybe we'll even, maybe I could talk Sarah into retroactively linking that into the show notes here.
Oh, I can do that. That's easy.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, good. My skills of persuasion are unparalleled, apparently.
Yeah.
Paralleledly. Wow, that didn't work out. Didn't work out. Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah. So I'm excited for it. And my guess is that the next podcast will be mostly discussing the show,
Yeah.
especially because it's 3 episodes. Like we don't want we don't want this podcast to be too long every episode. So I don't know, that maybe that's me being presumptuous. Maybe you really wanted to talk about the next stage of Eye of the World, and we could probably fit some of it in, but
Right.
just seems like we only have like 5 weeks of discussing like new live content, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
A little bit. I'm excited though. This will
It'll
be good. We'll have a lot of, I'm sure we'll have a lot of really interesting stuff, and who knows if they're going to even maintain, like they might not release it at like on an annual basis. It might be faster than that.
True. Very good point.
The way some of these shows work, I know that we really like that show Kipo on Netflix, and it's done now, but it was released way faster than once a year per season. So
you could maybe.
So maybe I don't know, but that being said, you wanted to talk about the book, and I'm excited for it. What things are you excited about this?
I'm excited for it too. We're getting to like, I feel like this is probably one of my favorite parts of this book where we're coming up. So they have all fled Shadar Logoth. They're all separated now, mostly separated. So I think for, the sake of spoilers, if you haven't read it, like chapters 21, 22, 23, maybe a little bit into 24, depending on time.
Sure.
But I thought we could start on 21 because it is your favorite character, Nynaeve.
So on the Discord, guys, if you haven't joined our Discord yet, I don't think we even talked about that. In fact,
yeah,
it's in the show notes. Go click on it. It's just the chat room. We, as in Sarah, have revamped the spoiler rooms so that they're individual books, and then there's just a big series spoiler at the end. But then you can sign up for whichever spoilers you want, so that you don't even have to see, like, if you don't want the Great Hunt spoilers, you just don't click on having been in that book or having read that book, and then you're just good to go. You're not even tempted to click on it. But I did like that there was that little blurb someone pasted, and I just thought it was fun because he was talking about Brandon Sanderson, who wrote the final 3 books of this series because after Robert Jordan passed, and he talked about he used to hate Nynaeve, and now reading it as an adult, he likes Nynaeve, and I'm like, hey, that's me.
It is you. So I'm curious how you felt about her in this chapter, because it's obviously it's from her point of view.
So this is the second point of view where we get is that accurate? Or no, we get Perrin first, right? As we're escaping.
Yeah, we have Perrin as we're escaping.
So Perrin and then Nynaeve in the next chapter, basically.
Correct. Yeah. So
this is the first time we hear the female narrator on the audiobook too.
That's right. Yes, because it really confused me, and it was only for the one chapter because it goes right back to Perrin after this. Okay,
right. So yeah, Nynaeve. So I just really like her in book 1. She's at least, I won't give more spoilers, but I'm more conflicted as things go on. In book 3, I just got to a point where I'm like, oh, maybe this is where I shift. I'm not sure, but I won't give. I'm sorry if that might be a tiny bit spoilery, I guess, but
no, it's fine. We can tell everyone how you decided to stop waiting for me to catch up.
You can only tap your foot for so long. All right.
Fair.
I want to hear what you think of Nynaeve.
So I find it funny that you said you liked her, because I found her to be really like haughty in this chapter. And so basically they've all separated, right? So like brief overview of the chapter. They've all separated. She wakes up. We actually don't know. We don't really know how she got out of the town, other than that she did get out of the town, because she wakes up and she's like, where am I type thing, and all disoriented.
That's a good point.
Anyway, but she ends up finding Moraine and Lan, and she just kind of was like sneaking and creeping and eavesdropping on them, basically. And Moraine sees her, or I shouldn't say sees her, but it's almost like she senses her and just like looks directly at her. Like Nynaeve's hiding in the bush and she just looks directly at her. Anyway, they have this whole conversation. This is the chapter that Nynaeve's told from Moraine that she can channel, she can access the one power. This is also the chapter where Moraine explains like the reaction you get from touching the source, like, and how, you know, you can start acting out of character afterwards and become sick, which is, you know, related to other characters.
Indeed.
And yeah, and so anyway, long story short, Nynaeve doesn't want to learn, and Moraine explains that, I think she says it's like 75% of women who don't learn how to channel properly end up dying or something.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing to learn on your own.
Yeah. So she doesn't want to learn, and they are leaving. Nynaeve wants to go with them. They're all gonna leave and carry on their way. And Nynaeve just kind of has this like attitude at the end of this chapter where she's like, she's going with them basically to make sure that they find the other Emmonsfielders. And she has this like really, it felt so like raw and primal at the very end, where she has this reaction of, well, I'm going with you, and this is all obviously her like internal dialogue of, we're gonna make sure they're safe, and if they're not safe, she's gonna hurt Moraine, kill Moraine. So, this was like the first time I was like, whoa, like she's very it's like protective doesn't even seem like a strong enough word to describe her in this moment.
Well, so think of what she's going through. So Moraine tells the boys, one of you is going to be able to fight the Dark One in some way. Like, you're important to the Shadow. Like, you are special. You have something that you need to discover in yourself. And so they're all, you know, like they feel that like they need to go with her. Like there's a compelling reason for it. And so that they have their motivation. Egwene wants to go out on an adventure, and eventually she learns she's able to channel like right away. And so she feels special, and you know, she has new meaning in her life. So all the boys have new meaning to their lives. Egwene has new meaning to their lives. Nynaeve is like, I want to just stay in the two rivers. Like she stayed in the two rivers up till then. People are arguing about how they're going to go get them, how they're going to go pick up the Emmonsfielders and like take care of them. And Nynaeve is saying, well, okay, this is taking too long. Like they're going to just get away. So I'm just going to go do it. And so her objective isn't to go find new purpose in her life. Her purpose in life is already to take care of them. And so she's coming at it as like, hey, I have children kind of, and you're kidnapping them. And if you hurt my children, I will kill you, because screw you, you hurt my children.
Right. And this is the first time that like you really see her in that light, because beforehand in the book, she's it's almost like she's tagging along to be like, okay guys, like we're gonna go home soon, like let's go, like
Mhm.
let's wrap this up. And this is the first time that she's like, no, like these are my people. Like Nynaeve is claiming the power, like she's in charge and she calls the shots on what happens to her people.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that that's probably a good insight in terms of like she's before now she's like, oh, all right, you want to see the world, we want to
Mm-hmm.
do all this stuff, and she hasn't like seen it firsthand how dangerous this is until she gets there, and she's like, they have all the fighting, if you know, in Shadow Logoth, and they're, you know, get separated and all this stuff, and she's like, this is real, like this, okay, like I can't trust this random person to call all the shots. Like, look, she called the shots and now we're separated and my people don't know what, like they don't know what to do. They've never been outside before, and the one person who does know anything about this is in no position to help them.
Yeah.
And so I think she's just like appalled that she let this situation even happen.
That's a
Like
good way to look at it too.
it's suddenly real to her.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So this is also, it just felt like a very short chapter. Like it was just, it's done. Once they agree to like leave the area, that's it. That's the end of Nynaeve's chapter.
well, so what do they agree to, like how do they agree to leave? Like what, who are they going to be, like what are they going to be looking for? I don't remember.
I believe if I remember right, I think I wrote it down. They're still on the way to Camelin. Oh, I forgot this part. Um, Moraine also explains that the reason why she's able to find the boys now and know that they are, you know, alive and moving is from those coins that she gave them. So as long as
Right.
they have those coins, like this is when she explains it to Nynaeve. Um, yeah,
Well,
but
and so
when they're leaving though, there is like it's basically a conversation between Moraine and Lan that they're going to leave, and Nynaeve is the one who kind of inserts herself into that and is like, I'm coming with you.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, oh, that's right, because Moraine's like, oh, you can come or go, wisdom, if you want, like
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, like you talk about manipulation, Moraine
Mm-hmm.
knows her business,
Mm-hmm.
because
Get her to come along.
yeah, well, she realizes that Nynaeve's going to be a difficult person, but you know, Moraine's been around the block a few times. She knows how to deal with difficult people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's kind of,
exactly.
because you know she does want Nynaeve with her, even though
Oh,
she feigns nonchalance.
totally. Like I would think that if I was in Moraine's shoes, and especially if you're like this girl can channel, she can access the power, and she's saying she doesn't want help, I would be inclined to be like, no, like you should probably stay near me, keep an eye on you.
Yeah, so Nynaeve is going with them, and she's angry.
Yeah, basically. She's angry, she can channel, she doesn't want to channel, and she's going. And that's it. That's the chapter.
Well, good for them. So one thing I wanted to mention. So I think that in the chapters of them escaping Shadar Logoth,
Mhm.
we didn't even mention it. I think Rand and Mat got on a boat, right, to help escape. I don't think that that's in a later chapter. Like they're on the boat in later chapters.
Did they get on the boat already? Yes, you're right. They did get on the boat.
Yeah,
We forgot that.
so they're on a boat,
Rand, Matt, and
and
Tom.
yes, yep, Rand, Matt, and Tom, and Matt and Rand both gave up their Tarvalin marks or whatever, their gold pieces.
That's right.
So Moraine was going to have trouble tracking them because they don't have them anymore, and she can only track them when it's linked to, like, if the person who she gave it to still has them.
Right, correct. And they gave them up to pay for passage basically on the boat.
Right. And Tom was like, "You guys are idiots. Like, we could have gotten passage for free because I'm a Gleeman and I'm a badass."
Yep.
But okay, so Perrin then.
Yeah. So the next 2 chapters are Perrin and Aguain.
Right, which is an interesting pairing.
It is an interesting pairing.
So, oh, go ahead.
It almost starts a little bit slow with them, at least in chapter 22, I thought.
Yeah, so they both made their way across the river, and it's a big deal. Like, for him, he's trying to swim across the river with his boots, and he's talking about how he's stronger than most men and he can swim, but the people think he's slow of thought, and you kind of just introduced to this totally new character. I mean, obviously he's but it's nice because he is very obviously distinct from Rand. Like, you can tell that the author knows how to make different characters.
I actually wrote something down because it stuck out. So in chapter 22, he's not with Aguain yet. Because they got separated in the river. And he is all panicked. He wakes up. He's like piecemealing things together. And Perrin just has this like orderly and logical attitude to him. This is what I noticed. Like, super orderly, super logical, level-headed, was like, okay. And I wrote down that he thinks to himself that he has to do one thing at a time and the most important thing first. I was like, that is the most logical, level-headed thing you could possibly think when you've literally been running for your life. You're separated from everyone that you've grown up with and care about, and now need to find them. You don't know if they're alive. You're assuming they're alive, but you don't know. And he's like, this is the order that we need to do things in, and proceed.
Yeah, so it's no secret, Perrin is one of my favorite characters in the series, and I mean, the reason it's no secret is my first kid is named Perrin. Like, I actually named a child after him, and so I mean, he's got his faults as a character and stuff, whatever, but I do really enjoy his just methodical approach to things.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, well, and he's a blacksmith. What I really enjoyed, though, is he's not just Rand as a blacksmith.
Right.
He's not just like he's got some good versatility to him. He's very clearly distinct, and it's very interesting because he's clearly loyal to Egwene, but he's almost like afraid of her in a way, because she's so bossy, even though she's younger than him. He's like, I don't know. He shies away from any kind of real conflict with her.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, he does. He does. They don't really have very much conflict in this point.
No. Well, she gets bossy. She does. She insists, like, for instance, they only have one horse between them.
Yes.
And she insists that they have an equal amount of time in the saddle.
Right.
And you could tell he doesn't agree with that, though. He's like, I don't think that's necessary, but she insists, and he goes along with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, so they are walking. They agree that they're gonna go straight to Camelin, basically, and that they will wait for a few days there, and if the others don't show up, and they're just going to keep going to Tar Valon. So that's where they're going, and where they're headed when they're, Egwene is being stubborn or bossy about sharing equal riding time on Bella. Um, and then we this is the best part. Okay, like this is the best part of this entire book for me. We meet Elias and the wolves.
Yeah, so
Like,
they're like starving in the woods,
yeah, they're
basically.
starving. They haven't eaten, and like Elias comments on the fact that he hasn't seen them eat in a few days. So you now
Yeah.
know, like, this strange man that you're meeting in the woods has been
Mhm.
watching you.
Yeah, so he's described really interesting. Like I never caught this until this reading, but he's got his like he's got pelts. He's wearing animal skins, but it's not just skins, it's skins with the hair still on the
Mm-hmm.
skins. And so it's kind of an eccentric, like the way they describe it too kind of just implies like, oh, why is he doing that? That's kind of weird. Like you can wear skins, but why with the fur still on them?
Right. Right. So he's
Yeah.
definitely eccentric.
Well, yeah,
Um,
and he's cooking all kinds of food. Like he has rabbits and stuff, and he's like, "Come eat." And they're like, "We should be wary, but we're hungry, so we'll do it."
right. And then so I believe Perrin goes over first. And that's
Oh,
when we find out through Perrin's point of view, obviously, that Elias's eyes are also yellow,
hmm
which is pretty descriptive. I mean, yellow, so descriptive, but it's not it's not an eye color, okay? Like, it is not an eye color that you would expect.
right. Well, yeah. So there's actually, this is very interesting too. The eye colors in that, they pay a lot of attention to eye color in a lot of these books, and or at least when they're a little bit different.
Mhm.
Uh, but what's really interesting, and this is a tangent I won't that are, let's say, too bogged down in, but there's like a whole system of nobility and everything in, like, written by Brandon Sanderson in a different series that's
Mhm.
based off of eye color
Oh,
as
really?
well. Yeah,
Hmm.
like you have the light eyes and the dark eyes.
Mhm.
and and so it's very interesting, like the attention to eye color is shared between these, Robert Jordan, who heavily influenced Brandon Sanderson as a
Yeah.
writer. So yeah, like it is very descriptive, you're right.
Mhm. Um, yeah, so he's eating, he's offering them food.
Hmm.
Uh, they I should while they have been before they come across Elias, Perrin and Aguain have been practicing this like story of what they're going to tell people if they run into people, because they don't want to tell them the actual truth. So they practice this whole story, which is pretty important in this chapter. The fact that they are not necessarily lying, but withholding information, and have practiced what they're going to withhold and what they're going to say.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so we learned from Elias that, based off of Egwene saying that they're going to Camelin, that they are completely on the wrong track. They're like 100 miles north or something.
Oh, yeah, like if they had just kept going straight in that direction, they would have never hit a village, and they would have eventually just like gone into the Aiel waste or something like that.
Right. So, which is funny because, not, I shouldn't say funny, but like Egwene even comments about how they were planning to stop at a village to ask for directions, and like that never would have been an opportunity for them.
Yeah, he's like, there's just no people out here. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that you found me is probably just remarkable.
Which also is like kind of weird that they did find him, or he found them.
Right. Well, there's actually a decent explanation for that at a
Mhm.
different point,
Mhm.
which I guess I won't reveal it right now. But there is a reason they were able to find him, and so yeah, they're and then they well, let's see. So that they eat for a while, and then
Mhm.
he tells them like, you'll want to prepare yourselves or something like that, right?
Yeah, he says that uh people don't like his friends, are his words.
Mm.
And that's when Bella, the horse, panics because there are wolves coming over now, which, like,
Yep.
rightfully so. I feel like you would panic if there was a wolf coming towards you.
If you're a horse, yeah, probably a little scary.
Right. So yeah, that's when we realize that his friends are the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And he does tell them not to panic. And what I thought, this was when it kind of like you realize that there's a deeper thing going on here, because Perrin reaches for his axe and Elias tells him not to do it and not even to think about doing it because the wolves will know.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing to me is the best part of book one.
Which is why I'm letting you tell it. It's exciting.
It's the best part. Anyway, so he basically, he being Elias, basically explains that the wolves found him and that he can talk to them. And
Mm-hmm.
Perrin, I think they both think this guy is crazy. And then we find out that you can't be taught how to talk to wolves. You can just do it. And according to the wolves, Perrin can talk to wolves too, which is super interesting because they've been making all of these kind of like remarks about how Perrin's locking eyes with the wolves. And so it's a nice little tidbit. And then it ties back into what I was saying earlier about them practicing this lie about the story of where they were going, because now Elias is telling them to tell him where they're actually going, and he warns them not to lie because the wolves are going to know if they're lying.
Yeah.
So this is just so cool. Like, love it. So it's so good. It's my favorite part. Anyway, so he says this, and right after he says this is when Perrin realizes that that Elias's eyes are wolf eyes.
They're yellow like the wolves. Yep.
They're yellow like the wolves. Anyway, so they tell him that the story. They don't name Moraine. They just refer to her as an Aes Sedai. They don't actually name her, because Elias goes off on this tangent about how he hates Aes Sedai, and he, you know, they tried to gentle him at one point. He's killed warders. Like, he's got into this whole thing with the red Aja that caught him. Like, it's just going on about this Aes Sedai, and he does not like them. So yeah, that's mainly Elias. And then I think Perrin starts to get a little bit, I don't want to say like a little bit in his head, but I think he starts to think that he is, I don't want to say that he thinks he's crazy, but he's very in denial of whether or not he can talk to wolves.
Well, and this is a very complex thing with Perrin. It's complex forever with him. It's very interesting though, because so they tell the story, and the wolves are all get their hackles up, and and Elias is like, oh well, you got a few like really really important facts just totally wrong, so I know that you're lying, but even if I didn't hear that, I'd know you were lying, because the wolves say you're full of crap.
Right. And and then we start to kind of see like Perrin start to have this bond form with the wolves. Like, he now, even though he is in denial, like, he is able to tell which wolf is in charge. He knows that it's Dapple. He knows that one wolf is named Hopper. Like, he just can tell these things, and he starts to feel them around him. So it's a nice little dynamic that's building, and him and Aguain stay with Elias, and Elias agrees to go with them to Camelin. So
so what ends up happening too though is Egwene she's about to launch into more lies, and Elias is like very clearly just shuts him down, and Perrin's like, okay, like we got to stop this madness. And so he just spills his guts. He just tells them everything. He tells the truth. And Elias is like, wow, I wouldn't have believed you, except the wolves say you're not lying. So, like, it's so unlikely. But yeah, like it's a very interesting thing where, and I feel like this is such an interesting theme in a lot of different stories, where like a lot of times truth is what is really, like, that's the powerful thing. If you use truth, that's your way of actually like getting through to people. That like people expect lies, and if you are armed with truth, it's going to really make things a lot better. And in this case, that's a perfect example of they don't really want people to know their business, but they don't really have a choice. Like they're just screwed if they just keep lying. And so Perrin sees the truth of it finally and gives them the truth. And then suddenly he's like, oh, hey, I've got friends. I've got this weird power that I don't think I want. And like, but we're not going to die. And we're probably going to, like, we're relatively safe.
Yeah. And be well fed.
Right. Like that was his key. Like, you just, if you're honest to the right people, at least to the people who value honesty, then that's what, that's what people want. That's what people seek. And, that truth, the honesty is a very important character trait to, to this group of like, potential allies, I guess.
Right. And Elias just has this like type of personality that is so like off the cuff, and he just doesn't care. He's very unfiltered, because even after they've eaten some of this rabbit, and he's the wolves are coming over and stuff, he makes this like really off the cuff remark about how it's really unfortunate, or it would be unfortunate for him to basically have wasted his extra food and this rabbit on them if the wolves were to kill them.
Yeah.
Like if they didn't behave themselves, basically. And it's just such a low brow, no thought, like doesn't care how how it comes across. He just says it and it's like, yeah, like that would suck. Like that would be a waste of a rabbit.
Yeah, he's like, oh man, I put some effort into hunting those rabbits, and now that effort is wasted.
Right? That could have been tomorrow's lunch.
But yeah, it's fairly interesting. So is that the end of what we're gonna discuss?
I feel like that's a good point to leave it at, unless you want to go into the next chapter with Rand.
No, that's fine. So we could talk about the most annoying character then.
We can talk about the most annoying character.
There's not many to choose from.
No, you literally have like what?
You have Moraine and Lan and Nynaeve.
Yeah.
And then you have Perrin, Egwene, Elias, and Dapple.
Right? A few wolves and a horse.
Yeah, Bella.
And the dead rabbit.
Yeah.
I found Nynaeve to be the most annoying here.
Okay. I could see that.
She just was stubborn, and which, like, I get, like you were saying, she's in this weird situation, but also it's just annoying.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So you say Nynaeve.
I say Nynaeve.
And okay, so I think last time I picked Egwene.
We both picked Aguain, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I just typed it on our spreadsheet, so hopefully I'm right. But
no, I lied. We both picked Matt last time.
Oh, okay. Maybe we picked Egwene the time before or something.
You picked Aguain the time before, and you also picked Aguain the time before that.
Wow, I just totally hate Egwene, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do a tally, folks. At the end of the book, we're gonna see who we think the most annoying character is. But for me, all right, so this is, we finally see Nynaeve, it like the fangs come out, and I liked this version of Nynaeve. She's got conflict, like she doesn't, she's out of sight of her comfort zone. I'd be more annoyed with Moraine, to be honest. I wasn't. I liked everyone's interactions there though, so I don't have an issue. And so I would say the most annoying, I just I don't like how, I don't know, I like Perrin, I like Elias, and I feel like I'm just being guided to say Egwene here.
You
And
are.
I don't think she was particularly bad in this one. I think she acted about what you'd expect a reasonable person to be, and yet she's the one who's like browbeating Perrin and trying to make sure that, you know, she gets her way. And you know, she's going against, she's trying to channel fire, like create fire by channeling,
Yeah.
even though Moraine said not to, and explicitly, and she's stubbornly trying to lie to Elias, and she's prejudiced against these wolves, which I get, but it's like she doesn't lose that fear. Like Perrin shakes it off pretty quick. She's like, okay, well, we're basically in the same situation. Like we were in the power of like some wild man who could clearly just like kill us without us seeing us anyways. So like, what's the difference of having some wolves here as well? And Egwene's just like, don't want to be anywhere near him, like just decidedly fearful. And so I would say, even though she's a reasonable person in this section, if I have to choose, I would choose Egwene.
Well, you have to choose.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna like try to get out of it by choosing Narg or some madness. So
I gave you the option of Bella, Hopper, Dapple, Dead Rabbit.
oh yeah, like the dead rabbit doesn't have enough meat on its bones. How annoying. Obnoxious app.
Oh. Yeah. So do you hate Egwene? So what we have learned so far is that as a, you know, teenager, when you first read it, you really did not like Nynaeve, and now you don't like Egwene.
I never really liked Egwene, actually.
Okay.
So
only one of them has flipped for you so far.
right. Well, there's a point in the future. I won't do spoilers other than there's a point where Egwene flips for me, and I actively really like her.
Okay.
So it doesn't last forever, but right now she's got growth to have. She needs growth to happen. She needs to become.
Okay, that's fair.
So I don't know. I don't have anything really super against her. She keeps being the most annoying, so that's annoying. But
that's a you problem you've got to work on.
no, she needs to. You know what it is. It's you need to keep reading faster. So
It'll happen.
Yeah, it will. This time it will.
This time for real, it will. Okay. I think that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So remind me, how many hours till we were able to watch the...
Whew. I think it's like 44 now.
Now that we've podcasted for 4 hours?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We haven't podcasted for 4 hours, but you know what I mean.
Okay. No, yeah, 48 hour, 44 maybe. But yeah, wow, that's soon.
So soon. And you know, if we get lucky and it's out, then we can do a little reaction video.
I hope so. Yeah, well, we have 3 subs on YouTube right now. It's big.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can throw something on there that's not just us talking. It'll be us talking with other stuff.
Yeah, well, we can't. I don't think
Maybe.
we'll have to look at the fair use stuff. I don't know if we can use the sound on it. I think we just have to watch. We can show the clip, but we can't actually show the sound. I don't know. Maybe we can. We'll have to look.
We're winging it.
Winging it. Should be fun, folks. So yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited to see what happens. I think I've said the word excited approximately 12 times today.
Yes.
Maybe even 2,000. I'm not sure.
Somewhere between 12 and 2,000, definitely.
I'm not 1,000% sure how many times I've said it. So
you can't ever be.
Oh gosh.
It's 4:30 in the morning. Anyway, that's it. That's all.
That's all, folks.
That's all. So we will hopefully be on YouTube around the same time that this posts. And then we will hopefully be on YouTube again if we get lucky. And then I guess we'll just be back next week for another more chat, right?
Another rousing discussion on the most annoying character.
Exactly. If you say Aguain again, we're gonna have problems.
Maybe just don't choose a chapter with Aguain in it.
Okay, I'll stop it short on purpose. Okay, for real. That's it. Thank you everyone for listening, and may you always find water and shade.